Good morning, boys and girls. For today's history lesson, we will be traveling to Israel. Okay? Now, turn your books to page 92. We can take a bus from Egypt to Israel. We can visit the town of Bethlehem. That's where Jesus was born. We can see hillsides outside of Bethlehem where even today shepherds watch sheep. Jesus, he walked on the water of the Sea of Galilee, and his disciples caught many fish from the sea. Maybe we can catch some fish for lunch. That sounds yummy. Mr. Cole definitely would love some fish for lunch. Let's go for a swim in the Dead Sea. This sea is really beautiful. It is very easy to float in the salty water. Here's some additional facts we may not know about Israel. Now, Moses led his people to the promised land, Israel. David, who killed the giant Goliath, became the great king of Israel. These people are God's special people. The Dead Sea has so much salt that fish cannot live. So if you look at the Dead Sea, there's so much salt there, basically nothing can live there because there is so much salt. Now, let's talk about the beautiful farmland in Israel. Israelis have learned to make crops grow in the desert areas. Now, as we know, the desert, basically places that are very dry. Israelites, they basically learned, they have mastered that skill to make crops grow in the desert. Now, that's a very interesting fact. Now, let's move on to irrigation. Now, irrigation is basically a system where it brings water to fields and orchids and pipes. So that's how they make their crops grow, through irrigation. And it helps to grow cotton, olives, oranges, grapefruit, kiwi, grapes, and tomatoes. Sounds delicious. Now, let's move on to the next page. Now, Jerusalem is the most important city in Israel. It is one of the oldest cities in the world. The shepherd boy David ruled here as king for many years. Later, Jesus was taken outside the city and crucified. 3 days later, he rose from the dead. Today, when we visit Jerusalem, we can see old buildings and walls that have been here since the Bible times. We can also see modern buildings that look just like the buildings in the United States. Now let's discuss the children in Israel. They dress just like we do, or they dress like you do, dress the same way as the children in the United States. And they go to school just like the children over here. However, they go to school on Saturdays. Now I think that's a good idea. Hopefully we can start going to school on Saturdays. Then again. Now their favorite sport is soccer. However, they call it football. Okay? It's called football. So over here we have football, the actual football that you throw, but over there, that football, they call it football as well, but it's actually soccer. And they eat the same food just like we do. And that main meal is at noon. Notice over here, our main meal may be dinner at supper time in the evening. Over there, that main meal is at noon. Now, Jerusalem is called the City of Gold because of the sunlight reflecting off the building at sunset. That's very interesting. And here's another fact. The cell phone, it was developed in Israel. So a lot of things happen here in Israel. Now, there are some studies over there as well, such as in medicine, computers, farming, for other countries. Most of that started there in Israel. And that word, a phrase called shalom, students say shalom. Good job. That's basically hello and goodbye. It has two meanings. It depends on the way you say it. And here's some other facts. As we know, there are 7 continents. Israel is located on Asia. Okay? Located in Asia. As you move to the Dead Sea, remember, nothing can really live there. Fish can't really live there because it is so salty. And as we know, Jerusalem is the capital city of Israel.